I'm not a sports fan, but I'm happy that people who do enjoy sports like football get to have many nights where they can watch the game. The Oscars are my sports. It's my football game that I get hyped for, and it only comes on once a year, so this is big for me. Even though there's super long speeches and commercials all throughout, it's a fun night for movie fans to celebrate the best movies of the year. This is the first year where I've watched every single nominated movie for Best Picture, and I'm ready to review and rank them all. So let's just go ahead and get this started.
I shouldn't have come out to play with the big boys, Ian, because you're about to get a proper Scottish welcome.
What?
Slow movies can be good. Trust me, it can, but the writing and characters have to be able to keep you interested. Not a single character in this whole entire movie had me interested at all. Maybe the kid, because he's cute and does solid acting. In fact, everyone has strong performances, but around the 30-minute mark, I just started to tune out. Tonally, the movie is a mess, and it's because of the lackluster editing. When there's something about to be impactful or even a slight meaningful thing, it cuts to the next scene. This movie is being compared to Roma, another modern black and white film, and the only thing I'm going to say is I'd rather be watching that. You know what? Why don't I just review that instead? Roma was the first foreign film I ever watched. There's no other film I would want to introduce me to this genre. Roma is a heavy drama with a lot of soul and heart. It's one of those movies that I thought about for hours after I had watched it. The cinematography is gorgeous and the story is intimate and personal, and you feel the weight of everyone's emotion on their shoulders in this movie. Basically what I'm trying to say is, Belfast is the anti-Roma.
Oh God, I can't hear Garfield! I've gone deaf!
There are times when many Oscar nominations for Best Picture are just pretentious and full of themselves. Coda is not one of those films. The story is standard and kind of predictable in some points, but the fact that it gives spotlight to the deaf community helps it a lot. It doesn't try to be something it's not. It doesn't try to be this artistic, groundbreaking film. It's not the deepest movie, but it's an emotional one that's written well and handled with a lot of care. Our main actress is really great, and honestly, absolutely beautiful. I mean, she's not no Emma Stone, but you know. Even when the dialogue is all through sign language, the emotions are strong and they punch hard as if you could hear them say the words. That was like the funniest part of the whole movie. Oh yeah, speaking of comedy, if I had any negatives, some of the attempts of comedy wasn't the best. There's a fart joke and that really pissed me off. But other than that, Coda is a wholesome movie that'll touch the hearts of many people. Even though it's about a deaf family, the movie gives off this strong voice that makes it a powerful film and an absolute crowd pleaser.
The sky is falling! The sky is falling!
I don't know how Don't Look Up got nominated for Best Picture, but here we are. The movie is a huge political satire, but the thing is, when you make satire, it needs to bite, chew, and eat it. Don't Look Up just nibbles and doesn't really fully bite. The movie isn't all bad though. We got huge star power. We got Meryl Streep herself as the president. We got Jack from Titanic, Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games, Timothy Chameleon, Jonah Hill, the best villain ever in an animated film, Kat Valentine, aka Ariana Grande, and she says the funniest thing ever in this movie.
We heard about your breakup too, so we just want to say we're very sorry, right? We're real sorry. You seem like a great person.
Why don't you mind your own business, you old
I will say the way the humans act when they find out a destructive comet is coming to Earth isn't too far off from what they would really act in real life. Although I do think near the end of the third act, when everyone does look up and people start to worry, the movie gets a larger bite and helps reach to a good conclusion. You can have a movie be a satire and not be subtle like this film, but the writing has to be good and it has to tie into a great execution, but the execution here is just really lackluster. And I really do love the cast, but the problem with it is they are such big names and the writing is so lackluster in this movie that I wasn't attached to their characters, but I only care for them a little bit because they're Hollywood stars. Now, I was shocked this movie got nominated for Best Picture, but the biggest surprise is it got nominated for Best Editing. The editing is atrocious in this. Watch this. Just look at this.
If I'm to be completely honest, which at this moment, why not? I actually like the junky taste of store-bought better than homemade.
Even Leo is like, what the hell was that freeze?
From now on, I too will be abstinent. I'll be as untouched as the turn signal in an Asian woman's car.
How much signal I need to cut across 8 lane? None? I turn now. Good luck, everybody else!
Well, this clip is absolutely outdated because the woman in this movie can drive really well. Drive My Car is not for everyone. In fact, so many people will be turned off at the 45-minute mark because that's when the opening credits start to roll. And that had my ass looking like this. And if that doesn't scare you off, the runtime is 2 hours and 59 minutes. And I was like, holy shit, this movie better be worth my time. And it really was. And I know, it's another movie about a person driving another person around. Wow, that's super original. And while the film isn't different in that aspect, the writing helps it become somewhat unique. The writing in this movie creates this delicate atmosphere that the film represents in a triumphant way. It's the writing and the pacing that makes this stand out, and when those two elements are meshed together here, it works extremely well. This movie is a slow burner, and it's not for everyone. It's a slow film, but slow movies can be good. Belfast. You can tell this movie is handled with tons of care and love, and it's easy to see that throughout the runtime. It's a beautiful story about grief. The woman of this guy's dream died tragically out of nowhere, and there's many scenes where he could break down, but he never does. But you can see the emotion in our main actor's face that he's suffering, but it's not a cry fest that he parades around. And instead of him crying in every other scene, it makes the movie feel unique, but when he finally does break down, it is extremely powerful and effective. The runtime is extremely long, but this is one of the best person drives another person around in a car movie I've seen ever.
I don't like sand.
Dune is a very important movie to me. Not because it's good, but because it taught me to be confident in my reviews. I made a review of this movie when it first came out, and I admitted that I loved the visuals, the cinematography was absolutely perfect, and the world building is great, but the story didn't cling on at all, and I just didn't really like the movie overall. I gave it a 6 out of 10 in my initial review, to be fair, because I hadn't read the book. So I think when I actually fully read every single chapter of this and rewatch the first part of this and the second part, I think I might actually really enjoy it. I think this is a movie for the people who read and really loved the book. There's so much lore behind this, and I want to know about everything. I just need to keep reading this book to just understand it all. I'm just going to tell y'all up front, I was never going to post my Dune review. I was going to make the review, and it took me about 2 hours to decide to post it, and I finally did. And I was scared of the backlash, but y'all guys were understanding that I hadn't read the source material. So I thank you guys for that. The first exposure I ever got to tennis was playing Wii Sports. And to be honest, Sierra and Venice are the only tennis players I know. But I don't give two shits about them because this movie is really about the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You know, that's my boy. That's my guy. Man, I just love me some Will Smith, man. Sure, it was nice to see Sierra and Venice's story in this, but it was even more interesting to see King Richard's story. He can be a dick and not be right all the time, but he means well and he wants what's best for his daughters. And it makes his character super intriguing as you see him battling on trying to be a good leader for his daughters, but also a good father. It makes him hard to root for in some places, but it just makes his character even deeper, and it makes this movie a unique sports film even when there's sprinkles of cliche writing choices and predictability. Now, if a movie is bad, I'll go easy on kid actors, but if it's an Oscar-nominated film, I'll go hard on them. I don't care if they're like 2 years old. With that being said, these girls do a great job with what they're given, especially when you see the determination on their faces. At the end of these movies, we always see the real life counterparts of what actually happened, but it was so wholesome and hit hard this time because we got to see how the film got so many little things right. There are many places where King Richard feels like your standard sports film, but the character of King Richard himself keeps this very interesting and a little bit wholesome at the end.
Pizza.
Licorice Pizza is one of the most unique love stories I've seen in a long time. It's about a 15-year-old boy who falls for a 25-year-old woman. Now, before you get Chris Hansen on the phone and throw me in jail with EDP, just listen to me. I definitely don't agree with the age difference. It's a huge gap, and I know that's where the controversy lies, but you know, it makes for a pretty intriguing movie. What I love about Licorice Pizza is the relationship between Gary and Alana. not because the chemistry is realistic and they bounce off each other well, which they do. It's just fascinating because they are really good friends, but you can tell they want more than that, but they can't because it's weird. This causes the movie to have an interesting and daring dynamic that was intriguing to watch from beginning to end. Their relationship carries the movie on its back and is the strongest element of this great film. Their relationship also helps the movie become unpredictable. I had no idea where the movie was going. The dynamic between the two causes the film to go one way, then it goes into a whole new different path that flows well within the movie's narrative. The two leads are people I've never heard of, but they do such a magnificent and perfect job with their performances. Bradley Cooper's also in this movie, and his character is just like, I have no words. It's just wow. This is a really thought-provoking movie, and it just has this warm feeling throughout. It's extremely fun to watch, a pure joy with an unexpected relationship and friendship that keeps this movie on its toes. It was just a fun romance movie. Honestly, this might be my favorite out of the 10 Best Picture nominees. What I love about Guillermo del Toro, you know what, I probably said that wrong, but anyways, what I love about him is his sets are so great. They're kind of creepy-ish, but they're very lively. On a technical level, the film is magnificent. There's so many cool shots, and the visuals are outstanding. And we even get Rocket Raccoon and the Green Goblin in one movie. That's awesome. The ending of this movie is a real knockout. It's one of the best film endings of the year, I think. But other than that, I don't really have a lot to say about this movie. The story takes a lot of time to get momentum. It only took until about the second act for me to start to get interested. There's so many great elements about this movie, but the story just didn't really get attached to me. And I hate that. I hate it when a movie is praised and I don't end up liking it. It makes me feel kind of bad, but, you know, it's my opinion.
Froggy when he couldn't, he did right. Crambo.
The first sentence of my Batman review that came out this year, I said that I didn't like westerns that much. I'm not really a big fan of westerns, although there are some that I do like. It's a genre that I haven't really gotten into, but I did really like Rango. The Power of the Dog is the first western I've enjoyed in a really long time. First off, I gotta say something I haven't talked about with any movie I've reviewed on this channel before. The sound design is perfect in every way. The sound of boots with spurs attached as they walk on the hardwood floor sounds so realistic. Horses trotting across the plains, the strings of the banjo being strummed by Benedict, it all sounds great. Also, this is the first movie with Kirsten I've seen since Spider-Man 3, and I low-key kind of forgot she acted, so it was great to see her here. Benedict starts off as a Benedict, if you know what I'm saying. He's an asshole, but I love his characterization and how we slowly figure out why he's this way, through really subtle hints until the reveal, instead of learning his past all at once. We also got to see his Benedict. It's not important, it's just something I took away from it. There's one scene that has symbolism about his character that I loved. There's a rabbit under a bunch of wood, and he talks about wanting to see when the rabbit will come out, but he says he guess it has to be gutsy and put up a front, which is a great way to talk about himself. It's a hard task to get me to like a Western movie, and I really, really enjoyed this one. It's a powerful and subtle film. It's really great. In fact, it makes me want to play Red Dead Redemption 2 right now. Yeah, Spirit. So basically, I called it Has Been a Dick because you get to see his penis in the movie. It was funny, ain't that right, boy?
Romeo, oh Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
The original West Side Story is a really good musical, lively colors, fun numbers, and a great commentary on racial issues. It's regarded as one of the best musicals of all time. And I hate remakes so much sometimes, especially when it feels like a cash grab to get people in seats because they are filled with nostalgia. You, Lion King. Last time I truly liked a reboot was The Jungle Book in 2016 because it improved on the story and switched things up. I think it's better than the original, so West Side Story 2021. You're gonna go down on my list as one of the best remakes I've seen in a really long time. Steven Spielberg is a legendary director, and he has crafted a familiar tale that pays tribute to the original, but also switches things up to feel different. The performances are extremely strong, and the cinematography and visuals are breathtaking, and I think the placement of the songs in this version are better than the original, because it gives more depth to the narrative. The supporting cast is absolutely great, and they feel just as important as the two leads in this movie. The final act is powerful, not just for the performances, but because the racial issues are still as relevant as when the original came out. I don't know which West Side Story I prefer, but this one resonated with me because this one came out while I was alive, and it still shows that there are huge problems with racial things and issues. This movie is definitely not original, but Steven Spielberg's direction with changing things around and helping the narrative become a little bit unique helps this already great musical become another great rendition for 2021. The Oscars are like 3 hours long, and I don't want to fall asleep during it, so I'm gonna go take a nap, and y'all guys enjoy my ranking, and I hope y'all have a good rest of your day.